Hi guys, my name is Minhajdi Ansari and you're watching the fifth tutorial on C programming, and today we will be talking about the relational and logical operators. But before I get started on these operators, I'm going to talk about expressions. So expression is a group of numbers, variables, operators and symbols that evaluate to a value. And I'm telling you the definition of the expressions because I will be using this word in this video. So 5 plus 3, this is an arithmetic expression and it has one operator and two numbers and it evaluates to the value 8. Similarly, only 5. This is also an arithmetic expression and it evaluates to the value 5. Similarly, I can write an algebraic expression a plus b minus c. Now this has two operators and three variables and it will evaluate to a value according to the values of a, b and c. So this is about expressions, and let's talk about relational operators. Relational operators are used to compare two expressions, and I will be giving you examples of this in a moment. So now there are 5 types of relational operators in the C language: the equals to, the not equals to, the greater than, the lesser than, the greater equal to, and the lesser equal to. And these operators are used to compare the values of two expressions. And the final type of operator is the logical operator. And this is used to compare to evaluate. This is used to evaluate two relational expressions. So there are three logical operators in the C language: the AND, the OR, and the NOT. And I will also be giving you examples of these in this video. So let's start with the relational operators. And before we start with these operators, I want to tell you that expressions using the relational and logical operators evaluate to a 1 if true or a 0 if false. So these are the only two values expressions that use the relational operators evaluate to: 1 for true and 0 for false. So let me write a relational expression right here and I'm going to check its value. So let me write 5 is greater than 3. Now this is a relational expression because it is using the relational operator greater than. And since this is true, I'm going to be getting a 1 in my output. So when I run the program, I get a 1 right here. But if I write a false expression, if I write 5 is lesser than 3, and when I run this program, I'm going to get a 0 in my output. Similarly, if I write 5 is equal to 3, now this double equal sign is used to test equality. So since 5 is not equal to 3, this is false. This will evaluate to 0 and I will be getting a 0 in my output. But if I write 5 is not equal to 3 and this exclamation equal sign is the operator for testing inequality. So when I run this program, I'm going to be getting a 1 because this expression is true. So similarly, the greater equal to and the lesser equal to sign have similar purpose. And now this is the relational operator. Now let's talk about the logical operators. So let me just copy this from here and paste this right here. Now the logical operator is used to evaluate two relational expressions. And let me just show you that in the moment. Let me first use the AND operator. So for the AND operator, you need two relational expressions. So I'm going to write 5 is greater than 3 and 6 is greater than 2. So I'm using the AND operator and I have two relational expressions. Now if both relational expressions are true, then this overall logical expression will evaluate to a true value, which is 1. Otherwise, if any one of these relational expressions is false, then this overall logical expression will evaluate to false, will evaluate to 0. So since both of these conditions are true, so when I run this program, I'm going to get a 1 in my output right here. But if any one or both of these expressions are false, then I will be getting a 0. So if I write 5 is lesser than 3, which is false, this overall expression will evaluate to a 0 value and I will be getting 0 in my output. Similarly, if I write both conditions to be false, so 5 is not lesser than 3 and 6 is not lesser than 2, but I've written both of them false. So I'm going to get a 0 in my output again. So this is the AND operator. It requires both expressions to be true. Now the second type of logical operator is the OR operator. And in the OR operator, at least one expression has to be true. So if I write 5 is greater than 3 and 6 is lesser than 2, this is false, but this is true. Since at least one expression is true, this overall logical expression will evaluate to true. It will give me a 1 value. So, I mean, the logical OR operator will give me a 1 value when at least one expression is true. But if both of them are false, so if I write 5 is lesser than 3 and 6 is lesser than 2, then I will be getting a 0 in my output. I will be getting a false. I mean, this will evaluate to false. And let me just show you for the sake of an example, if 5 is greater than 3 and 6 is greater than 2, both are true, then again, since both are true, I'm going to be getting a 1 in my output. I'm going to be getting a true value. So the final type of logical operator is the negation operator, and it is used to make a true value false or a false value true. So let me just write my relational expression 5 is greater than 3. Now this is true, so I should be getting a 1 value. So when I run this program, I get a 1 in my output. But if I add the negation operator, the third type of logical operator right here, then this will transform the true value into a false value. So 5 is greater than 3 is true, but since there's the negation operator right here, it's going to become false, and I'll be getting a 0 in my output. So this is all it about the relational and logical operators. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comment section.